Today we don't do a very formal course because actually maybe I want to more or less present some of the topics that we can discuss during this course. I don't know, I didn't receive exactly what kind of announcements you got, so I don't know what you saw about the announcement, but basically there are many things which are linked, many subtopics which are linked to the main topic of the course, which is symbolic dynamics, and I think we can more or less, while we progress in the course, we can more or less choose together, or we can adapt depending on your will. So English is okay for everyone? Okay. So maybe I'll start by trying to understand who you are, but first maybe introducing myself. I'm Pierre Guillon. So I am a researcher in Marseille, in the south of France, and this year I am for the whole year in Institut Mousselet. Of course, I have visa problems, so the whole year is not the same depending on research side or administration side. But I spend more or less some time here, just on the fourth floor. Very often, nearly every day I'm here, and the door is very often open, and so I would be very happy to discuss if ever you have questions or answers about anything. And so let me give you my email, so maybe it was in the announcement. The CNRS, the Centre National de la Recherche Scientifique, is a national institution in France, which is linked to every research, nearly every research lab, and they also have foreign, they are involved in some foreign labs like here. This is why I'm here for a year, and it's involved in all the topics in science, and officially I depend on the section of computer science, theoretical computer science. But I have been in the math department for 10 years maybe already. So I can't really answer very precisely when I am asked whether I am a researcher in computer science or math. It's really in between the two. Of course, if you allow very theoretical computer science, when I use computer science, I don't use that much computer, but except for writing articles and emails. But yeah, so I'm in between the two. And the course also is a topic which is really at the boundary between the two things, and so maybe, so yes, so I don't know if you are all mathematicians or all, so can you very quickly introduce yourself? For example, starting. My age. And you're math? Okay.
I'm from the master's degree in Pierre mathematics faculty.
In?
High school.
Okay.
Science.
Okay.
High school faculty of mathematics.
Okay.
I'm Pierre. I'm Boris, and also high school economics and faculty of mathematics bachelor studies. I'm doing my bachelor.
Okay.
Okay, my name is Nikita. My interests are between mathematics and computer science.
And you are study?
I'm a student at Economic School, second course.
Okay.
I'm Guillon. I have a background in practical science, but mostly in probability.
Okay. In which state?
I'm also at School of Economics, but I'm already graduate.
Okay.
My name is Mark. I'm a student here in Independent University.
Okay.
My name is Khudayar. I am a postdoc at mathematics department.
Okay.
My name is Symbolic. I'm a Master of Arts in Economics at New Economic School in Moscow. My background from University of British Columbia, economics, yes.
Okay.
I'm master graduating from master program in high school economics in math.
Okay, so majority of math. So thank you to have introduced. Don't blame me if I don't remember all the names. Okay. Yes, so I will do a presentation of the topic with a historical angles maybe, and to emphasize the fact that there is a link with many things. So very often when we talk about symbolic dynamics, people say that it dates back from the 1898 with Adama, and he was studying the geodesic flows in some surfaces with negative curvature, and basically the main idea of symbolic dynamics is, imagine you have a dynamical system. So I will not be very formal, but you have a space X, so very often we require metric compact topological space, and you have a map, a self-map from X to X, so this is our space X, and I'm looking, starting from some point X, I'm looking at the iterations of X. Okay? And the main idea of symbolic dynamics is that if X is something quite complicated, maybe one wants to simplify it. And what's more simple than a finite set? So I will draw some partition of the space X, this is let's say P1, P2, P3. And now, when I look at my iteration of f starting from x, I can note next to it the letter, the symbol that corresponds to the part that is where the point in the orbit is. So this sequence here is called an orbit for those who don't know dynamical systems. And here I can write 2 because I'm in P2 initially. Then after one step I'm in P1. Then the next step I'm in P3. Then P3 again. Okay? what do I get? I get an infinite sequence of numbers between 1 and 3. Or maybe if you see this as C2, it's an infinite sequence of symbols from T. Okay? And in theoretical computation science, we will infinite sequence of something from a finite set, we will call it an infinite word. So essentially, this is P to the n. It's a map from the integers to the partition. Even though I wrote only the number, you understand that it's the same. So you don't hesitate to ask and to cut me if something is not very clear, but also don't hesitate if you really feel that I'm going too slowly to say something else. So, what happens now when I apply, when I do this kind of transformation? Let's say this is transformation T index F. Because it's clear that it depends on F, because at the first step it depends only on P, but since I write the full sequence, then it depends on F. So more precisely, this is TF of X. So the map from X to the infinite word is TF, okay? What happens now if I apply TF to F of X? What happens if I apply TF to F of X? Yes, exactly. So it's like hiding the first step and shifting the whole infinite word. So now I took the natural integers here, but if F is invertible, we can do the same with the relative integers. So you have a commutation TF equals the translation of composed with TF. So here I will note sigma to be the shift map. Clear what it means? So maybe we can see a simple example. Imagine that your space S is a circle. So maybe I will write it as 0, 1, but you have to put topology of circle. So it's modulo, everything is modulo 1. And the map is the following. You multiply by 2. So 2 alpha, modulo 1, of course. So here I have alpha. Okay. Let me note this as alpha. It's supposed to be 0, 1. Of course, the angle is 2 pi times this. We don't care about homotopy. And after one step, it's here. After 2 steps, maybe here, etc. Okay? So, to do symbolic dynamics, I need 2 things. I need a system and I need a partition, and I need color charts, but never mind. So the most simple partition I think of is this one. I cut one part here and one part here. And the extremities I choose, maybe I put 0 in the first one and 1/2 in the second one. Okay? So, in general, you can ask what kind of information remain after the coding, because possibly you have lost. So maybe let's make this diagram again. So between here and the bottom, maybe you have lost a lot of information. So if you choose your partition randomly, independently of your system, maybe it's not very interesting. Here, I think it's interesting to take this partition, and I don't know if you see why. So, for example, is TF, can you see some properties of TF? Is it 1-to-1? So maybe let's write alpha and beta. Actually, you see that the first symbol that appears in the coding, or the trace, this can be called a coding, symbolic dynamics, or the trace, or the associated subshift, or the factor subshift. Let's call it the trace. So the first symbol you see on the trace starting from alpha is 0. Let's say this is 2, 0 and 3, 1. So here I started my numbers at 1 to please the mathematicians, but now I start at 0 to please the computer science. So here it's 0 if the binary expansion of alpha started with 0, with 0, comma 0. Comma or point? In Russian you put commas or points? Comma. That's good. Like in France. And the first symbol is 1 if the first is the beginning of the symbolic expansion was 1. Sorry, if the beginning of the binary expansion of the number alpha was 1.
More than P over 2.
Sorry?
P over 2. More than P over 2.
P. So here. Yes, but I said that instead of taking P and 2 pi, I call this 0, 1/2, and here it's 1, and everything is modulo 1. But topologically, it's really the same. So it's easier to do this consideration I just said. I just look at the binary expansion. Otherwise, there's a multiplication by 2 pi, but essentially it's the same. Okay? So are you starting to see that it will be 1-to-1? Because actually, when you apply F, what remains in the trace is the trace of of 2 alpha. Okay? So now all the differences in the binary expansion, you will see them as the first. At some point, it will be the first because you have shifted. So this trace is exactly the binary expansion of alpha. I should say it's exactly one binary expansion because we forbid the expansion 0.111111 and every expansion which ends with 111111 because we put the 0. It was a choice to put the 0 in this. But in any case, we obtain one valid binary expansion of alpha, and you know that this is injective. because alpha is equal to how am I going to write it? Something like this. So you can recover alpha from its space. So this is an extreme case of interesting trace, because you have the whole information, and then you can, this trace really helps to answer some questions from dynamical systems theory. For example, are there periodic points? Question, are there periodic points in this dynamical system?
Linear expansion.
So rationals, do you mean that rationals will give periodic points, or do you mean that periodic points will give rationals? It's a good, what do you think? So you are right. So here it's injective, so you have periodicity. I didn't define periodicity, but you understand what it is. Otherwise you would have cut me the first time I pronounced it. And you have periodicity, if and only if you have periodicity here. Periodicity here means periodic binary expansion, and actually periodic binary expansion is exactly equivalent to rational. So, that's another question I forgot to ask. Do you want, I don't know if you're very busy during the week, or do you want exercises, homework? Yes. Okay. Okay, so exercise. First exercise, periodic points. Are exactly the rationals. So again, so rational angles, of course, it's really in this definition. If you take pi, it's rational sin pi. So maybe I should write something like or something like this. And this is what I will call S9 sometimes. And another typical, so does anyone have followed the course of dynamical systems or something similar? No? Okay, so
differential equations.
sorry?
Everyone took ordinary differential equations.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay, so it's a good point that you say this, because I realize I'm saying dynamical systems, and I forgot to say that all my dynamical systems will be discrete dynamical systems.
Discrete time.
Discrete time, yes. So there will be essentially given by one continuous map from a topological metric space, which is compact. But forget about compactness now, because, for example, in this, if you have something like this and you do a partition, you have noticed that your parts cannot be all closed if your space was connected. So actually, the space on which your shift will be performed is not a closed space. That's a detail for later. Actually, maybe, yes. I don't know if we'll talk about this a lot. So, when people were doing symbolic dynamics at the beginning, they were very often interested in terms of measure, so they didn't care about this boundary effect. Another possibility is also to allow multiple possible codings, or just to remove all trajectories which will intersect at some point the boundary. there are several possibilities to deal with this, because if you remove them, it's only of measure 0. So, because it's a countable intersection of something within, countable union of something what measure 0. Anyway. So mechanical systems will at least be always iteration of a map, of a self-map in a set. And what kind of questions can I ask? So the first was about periodic points, because you understand that it's one of the simplest dynamics. You can also ask whether the whole system is periodic, which means that there is a uniform period, that when you apply P times, it's actually the identity. But this is, in general, it's always true, but in this kind of system, when it's defined like this, you see at once that it's not. Periodic systems are very simple and you can recognize them at once, usually. But what you can ask, what is stable points? Stable points? What you mean? Okay. It means invariant point. Yeah. Yes. Okay. This is a particular class. Okay, it's a good question. So invariant point. It's a particular subset of the periodic points. Oops. And at the extreme opposite of being periodic. Sporadic. Do you have an idea of the definition for this? So a periodic point actually goes somewhere in a finite number of places, and after this comes back. So the orbit is very small, it's finite. It's as small as it can be, I mean, in some sense. How can it be very big?
The closure of the trajectory is the whole space.
Yes. Yes. We are in a topological setting, so very big can mean dense. Dense orbit. So when I made some remark on this state saying that the image of TF is not always closed. I didn't even really say what kind of topology I use. So you have P to the n. P is finite. So there is a very natural topology on P, which is the discrete topology. So even a metric, every point is at distance 1 from each other if they are distinct. And this is a product of infinity in P, so you can do product topology. And this is also metric.
Isn't it just the discrete topology as product space?
No. So,
Okay.
So let's define a metric together, which is compatible with the product topology. So if I have a word, an infinite word, two infinite words x and y. I don't know why I wrote them vertically, but I did. Okay. What I want is that they are considered very, very close if they share a very long prefix and they are considered very, very far away to each other if they have a difference very close to the beginning. So for example, I can find the minimum of I such that xi is different from yi, and this will be the point which marks the first difference. And I want, if it's very small, I want the distance to be big. If it's very large, I want the distance to be small. So I take any function which maps this to R, such that when this is infinite, I get 0, because if the minimum is not realized, it means the sequences are so for example, this works. 2 to the... Sorry? Okay, maybe. But what about the adic numbers? You're saying that you already know that there is a distance? Yes, you can see them as 2, but here the alphabet is not necessarily binary. I took 2, it's independent of the size of the alphabet, you can put anything here. You can even, you could also take, as a distance, you could take 1, something like this. I shouldn't write equal. So you have many possibilities, these are equivalent. But Tikhonov's theorem tells you that this is a product of finite spaces. So this is a product of compact spaces. So it's compact. And actually, it's compact. You can. Okay.
It's a counter set, right?
It's a counter set.
Counter set.
Yes. I was hesitating in saying this or saying it next course because I'm not doing exactly what I had planned. But so you have all studied the course on topology. Topology is okay. So just to recall, counter set means compact, totally disconnected, and perfect. Perfect means no isolated points. So compact, I think I just proved it because, or maybe Tikhonov's did. Totally disconnected. Totally disconnected means that the only connected sets are the singletons. And perfect means that no point is isolated. So in some sense, every point has many points next to it, but not close enough to be connected to them. It's kind of paradoxical, and it's so paradoxical that, not that it doesn't exist, because it does, but it's essentially unique. All such sets are homeomorphic. Topologically, they are the same sets. Okay. A base for this topology. So I'm mixing for exercises based for the topology. Is given by the so-called cylinders. So what is the cylinders? So what is a cylinder? It's a set of configurations. Sometimes I say configuration instead of infinite words. It's the same. It's a set of infinite words which starts with the word U. U is a finite word. So finite word is terminology coming from language theory, maybe. Finite word is an element of P star, and P star is not, this is a language theoretical notation, it's not the real notation or anything. This means union of the Pn for every n. Okay? It's clear? So maybe so if I write this, do you understand my abuse? Is it okay?
Concatenation, yeah.
This is concatenation, so it's the set of all UV which are in our set of infinite words. So it's a set of X such that there exists V of X equals UV. Okay? So maybe it's a good exercise also based on cylinders. So this is quite this exercise is quite mathematical. So, but I understood most of you were from math, so that's why if someone is has problems, we can discuss. So I don't know if you remember. So you remember what the base for topology is. So the set of cylinders should be a base for this topology, or maybe a sub-base. So something such that you can obtain all open sets by taking the generated topology. So you take the smallest topology which contains the cylinders, and it should be that topology. Why am I saying this? So this is a key remark, because in symbolic dynamics, and it was really one of the goals of Adama and all the dynamicists that followed to encode, you transform a topological property into a property on words, on finite words. And usually it's more easy to have an idea on what it means. For example, and this was why I was doing this, a dense orbit. What does it mean? A dense orbit means an orbit which goes through all the open sets, which are non-empty. Since I have a base for my topology, I have an orbit which goes, it's equivalent to say that it's an orbit which goes through all the cylinders. What does it mean? I'm talking about this, the orbit with respect to the shift map. An orbit with respect to the shift map, which goes through all the cylinders. It's an infinite word.
It contains so finite words.
Exactly. It's an infinite word which contains all finite words. Sometimes when I talk about contain finite words, I will use the word pattern. A pattern is a finite word which appears in an infinite word. So, pattern. For example, X, something like this, step pattern, X, I, X, J. It's a sub-pattern of X. Okay? Okay. This was an example, which is quite basic. So, officially we are here until 9 o'clock. No, I'm sorry, it's a bit messy because I had planned to do more a historical framework, but I'm mixing the two. Never mind. Later, so we are in the beginning of the 20th century, a little later in the 30s, Morse and Hedlund formalized. So in the meanwhile, it had been, the same idea had been used extensively by many dynamicists like Descartes or Morse himself, and then he had this student Hedlund, and together they formalized and they wrote two papers called Symbolic Dynamics in 38 and 40. In the second one, they emphasize a very important class of symbolic systems, which is a class of Stromian systems. Maybe I will give a quick idea on what it means. So, I take the circle again. I call it 0, 1, 1 again. And now I'm not doing multiplication by 2, but I will do an addition, which means a rotation, actually. So, I start with alpha. Maybe I start with beta. I start with beta. And R index alpha is just a map from beta to beta plus alpha modulo 1. So, now I have a parameter. It depends on beta, but also, of course, on alpha. So, I'm doing like rotations like this. But now, to do the symbolic dynamics, Morse and Hedlund, they smartly not take the same partitions here, but they took this partition here, which is drawn between, okay, this is a a bad picture because it looks like alpha equals beta. So this is my initial angle beta, and now I add alpha. Okay. Okay, and the partition that they take is, they take one angle alpha somewhere in the circle, and this is T0, and the rest, all the rest is T1. Usually when you have so I asked my question again about homework. Since you want a lot of homework, and interesting and difficult homework. Are you speaking for the whole group? So basically I want to ask you the same questions on these three questions, but for this system. But it's a little harder. But maybe what we can do, it's not, I will not collect the homework, but maybe it's interesting if you try to understand what's going on, and next time we will go through it. And also, so the first question we had settled here is the trace with respect to P. So yes, I should always write, this depends on P everywhere. Of course I forget it because because you understand it. So, again, same question as before. Do you have points with same primitives, the same images? So this appears also in, I don't know if you saw some billiard games somewhere. So you have a billiard table. So usually dynamicists study tables which are not like this, which are very, very weird. So let's start by a simple case. Even a square table, and you throw a ball with some angle alpha, and when it meets the boundary, well, you know what it does. Something like this. Good. Okay, oops. Suppose I never touch the corner because it's not well defined there. And so there is a way to see this, that when I touch the corner, you see that there are two directions. Actually, there are four directions. Either like this, like this, like this, or like this. It's like the ball can be in four different kinds of configuration, plus its actual position. It has its position on the table, but also like between four directions. But you can represent it by four tables, four distinct tables. One that I put here. Okay, you will believe me that this is a square also. No, you don't believe me. I don't even believe myself, so I think you will believe me.
Surely it wasn't a square from the very beginning.
Sorry?
It wasn't a square from the very beginning.
Compared to this one, and yeah. Can you believe me, even though? Okay, but actually it works with rectangles the same, so I don't care. The important thing is that this is, you will believe me that this is really the symmetric of this. So this represents the table, and I will, the same table, but it will represent the positions when the ball is going that way. Why am I putting it here? Because you know that I'm throwing the ball here, and now it's like if I continue straight, and this movement is the symmetric of this one. And now I do again here. And this movement is the symmetric of this one. And now I touch the boundary, so either I add another table, but it's kind of stupid because this movement, when I bounce twice, it's not stupid to add it, but maybe it's nicer to add it here, because when I do this symmetry, and this symmetry, it's the same as doing this symmetry here. But then, I say that this point is the same as this one. And so, I can continue always with the same slope. So, and this is the symmetric of this, of this. Yes. Yes, exactly. So this point is the same as this one. So I go here, and now I can continue. This is the symmetric. You see that when I go here, this part of orbit, I already had it in the billiard, when I drew the normal billiard at the beginning. But now this picture really represents, you agree that you don't lose any information. It really represents the orbit of the billiard. But what is nice is that I have only one single direction. Each of these four tables remembers if I have bounced an even number of times vertically or an even number of times horizontally. And otherwise, I just remember, it just goes straight. So it's a particular case of translation surface. So now, why am I doing this? Even though I said that I was always considering discrete dynamical systems. So here, the answer is that here for me there is a discrete dynamical system. Of course, the ball follows a continuous time. But what happens between two boundaries is not very interesting. You know what happens. It always follows, of course, let's fix the initial angle. Yeah, it corresponds, like here we fix an angle, here we fix an angle. So you know what happens between two bounces. So actually, what I'm doing is, what dynamicists are interested in, is the first return map to the boundary. What does it mean? It means that you forget about what's inside, and you have a point, you have only points in the boundary, and the map so how should I write it? So now let's call this 0, 1, so this was 1/2 maybe. Sorry? It's not It's I don't know. I don't know this. You want to explain, or maybe after the... So, no, I won't write formally. So the union of these four segments, boundary, to the boundary, and it's defined by x is not to the y such that the orbit, the ball, the next ball, next hit of the ball after x is y. You understand what it means? This is a general construction in dynamical system which is called first return map. So now I have a discrete dynamical system, and you understand that most of the complexity of the original system is still in the system. I don't care about it going in that direction in between, but if I have the information of all the bounces, of all the intersections with this, it's already a lot of information. And now, I want to do symbolic dynamics from this discrete dynamical system. So there is a very natural partition. Here it's P0. Here it's P1. And this is equal to this. It's really a torus. This is equal to this. Okay, so actually the boundary is only this. The boundary is a bad word, by the way, because I stick them, so it's a torus. So, but I just take one vertical line and one horizontal line in the torus, and I just look at when it intersects them.
Can you explain please what first return map means in a general case?
So it's not always it's not always defined. It's defined in provided some properties on the dynamical system. But when you have a dynamical system, you take a subset of the dynamical system. So here this is x, this is y. Y is included in x, and you can define. You have f from x to x, and you can define f. Let's write it like this. From y, f index y, from Y to Y, but it's, in general, it's a partial map. So I do like this. It means maybe it's undefined in some places. And then okay, now I'm realizing I'm defining it already starting from a discrete dynamical system. But you can start from a discrete or non-discrete. Yes. Continuous. I don't know if you will understand if I write something which works for both, but maybe I keep writing like this, and you will understand that it also means something if you start from continuous dynamical system. So you define f y of x to be.
It is the first term.
Yes.
Got it.
Be y such that to be f t of x, where t is the minimal time zero is the minimum time such that ft of x is in y. Okay, so it's not always defined, but if the system has some properties, maybe I don't want to go too much through it, then it's defined and it's a very useful tool. And do you understand that you have the same kind of definition for continuous dynamical system? You can always look at the first point where the flow will bring you back to this subset. This was a good question. Ça va? Clear?
Yeah, it's clear now, thank you.
So now I do the symbolic dynamics on this. What I want to say is that I recover also a Sturmian subshift. Sturmian subshift is T R alpha P. So P depends on alpha also. So the Sturmian system associated to alpha is the set of all possible traces of all points in the circle with respect to the partition associated to alpha. And here you get the same, but alpha is misleading. I shouldn't have called it alpha, because it's not exactly the same alpha. Maybe I can quickly draw pictures so that you understand more or less the link, but I will not do it. I will not put it formally.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
It's more chunk
You have colors or? It can be nice, yes. Thank you. Yes. But they're completely new. I don't know if I dare.
No, they're not new.
Okay. Thank you. Alors. No, I'm hesitating in. In continuing like an overview, a historical overview with the different concepts, or going more deeply into this and prove some things. Okay, let me first do what I promised to do. So there is a way to represent a Stonean sequence from this definition. If you have a grid, infinite grid, and here you have a point, and say here the difference between, so of course all the squares have size, the size is 1 by 1, and here this is beta, and I draw a line with angle alpha. This is, okay, you understand, with angle alpha. Maybe I should write it here. So here, the little space here is exactly R alpha of beta. The mesh, if I take the mesh vertical line, this is R alpha of beta. And if I take the following one, this is R alpha squared of beta. Can you see this? Because I just add alpha, and I do modulo 1. So it's like having your circle, it's like, imagine that all of these verticals are the same, are glued together, and all of the horizontals also. So you have a fundamental domain here, and what you look at is exactly what happens in each of the squares. But it's essentially the same square. So the symbolic dynamics here, the trace consists in writing 0 if the little space is less than alpha, and 1 if it's more than alpha. For example, here let's say it's more than alpha. Here it's very small, so I write 0. This is, you can interpret it as time. The horizontal is time, and the vertical is the circle. Here is big. Etc. And you get an infinite work which describes whether you cut the vertical line very close to a horizontal line or not. And here, if I unfold my billiard table infinitely now, it's nearly the same. Let's say that the initial point was on the side, and it was in coordinate beta. So I start also with beta, and I do some angle alpha, like this. So this is the trajectory here that unfolded. Okay. I just imagine that you have a table with mirrors, and you can see your ball always going straight, and never bouncing, but also never coming back here because instead it goes there. So it's a representation, but it's really the same object. But what is the symbolic dynamics here? The encoding of the trajectory. I write 0 when I cross a vertical line, and I write 1 when I cross a horizontal line. Now we have forgotten these numbers. So here I write 0 because I cross a vertical line, 0. Here I cross a horizontal line, I write 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. But you see, it's very close. It's an operation which is very close to each other. And actually, they can be transformed into one another. There is an operation on alpha, a bijective operation, bicontinuous operation on alpha, that transforms alpha so that the encoding becomes this one. Maybe we will go through this more formally in the following course. But now it was to tell you that this kind of systems, dynamical systems, is present in many different things. It appears for the easiest case of billiards, it appears for rotations, it appears when you just want to write the intersections of a line with verticals and horizontal squares. And there are more characterization of this kind of systems. Maybe we will go through them at some point. So for now, I'm asking you to think about these questions. So this was in the 30s. At the end of the 30s, beginning of the 40s. So at the same time, a little earlier, in 36, there was the beginning of what is now called theoretical computer science, with the definition of the Turing machine by Alan Turing. So people started to think about what is computation, what can we have a formalization of what is a machine, what is a computer, can we think about what is computable or not. And in the 40s, John von Neumann invented another kind of computational model, even though maybe he didn't pronounce the word computational model, but something which is based on parallelism and on he wanted to use it for the idea of self-replication. So it's something which it's a concept which is not very well defined, but which has to do with somehow with a complex version of computation. So this is the birth, in some sense, of cellular automata. I'm talking about them because you will see that they have a link with symbolic dynamics. So he was inspired by another guy who was in his lab in the US, who is originally from Ukraine, and who is called Stanisław Ilam, and who was trying to model quasi-crystals with the same kind of models. And that's also more or less when information theory was developed by Shannon, and he introduced the idea of entropy, of many things, and actually he used, to develop this concept, he used something of symbolic dynamics. So let me, it's independent things. I'm talking about two independent things. This was just to tell you it was simultaneous, but let me give a word about this Claude Shannon information theory. Yes, it was more or less simultaneous, maybe a little later. So, but, so, let me write it. So why am I talking about Shannon? Because Shannon was interested in this subshift, so I didn't define subshift. It's now the moment. But the subshift, maybe I should have written it here. So it's a closed subset of P to the n. Maybe I write A to the n now. So it's from alphabet A. Alphabet means finite. Let me call this sigma, and such that is invariant by the shift map. There is also the two-sided version, A to the Z, and here we require equal. So it's relevant to require equal because in some sense you want every shift taken from this set. So there is some semi-group which acts on this. If you take every shift, you should stay in the set X, in the set sigma. Here we take every shift of n, it's only positive shift. Here we take every shift of z, so they should all be included, so they should all agree because they have an inverse. Okay? But there is an equivalent definition of subshift. I take a set of finite patterns, Okay? A set of finite patterns. You remember this notation? It was defined somewhere here. And I define sigma index F to be the set of infinite words. So maybe now I don't want to choose between n and z, so I will put m. So m equals n or z. So here I can, for example, what I just told you is you don't have to erase on your paper, it was not forced, but this was what I told you just before. So, I introduce another notation. This means subpattern. For every U subpattern of F, U is not in our list of patterns. So what is this definition? It means the set of infinite words, or by infinite words. I won't repeat infinite or by infinite each time. If I say infinite, you understand, if I say configuration, you understand it's both. If you have a doubt, you can ask me if it works for both, but normally I will tell you if something is specific to n or z. This is the set of infinite words which avoid all the patterns, finite patterns, which are listed in this F. Okay? You see what it means? Example. F equals 1, 0. What is sigma index F? What kind of words will I see in this? Sorry, I should fix the alphabet first. Yeah. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It belongs.
It has a string consisting of all zeros, or a string that ends with ones.
You're very close, but so for example, if I have one
that begins with zeros and ends with ones,
and as soon as you have 1, 1, you don't have any more zeros.
yeah.
So yes, maybe I will write it this way. So here I put a point to say that this is the zeros set. It means okay. You understand this notation? It's okay? It just means the word where you have only zeros until the cell number 0 where you have only 1. And then sigma to the F is basically only these kind of things, plus all its shifts, plus the two monochromatic words, which are obtained as closure when you shift infinity to the left or when you shift infinity to the right from it. You understand? So this is kind of, this has a dense orbit, if you consider orbit in the two directions. It's not dense as a dynamical system in my definition where you just shift to the right, but if you allow shift and inverse shift, in some sense, the whole bi-orbit closure is dense. So let's fix m equals z here, and here what I'm saying is that this is the symbol for orbit. The orbit of this configuration, and I take the closure of this closure. Do you agree with this?
So do you claim that these two definitions of subshift are equal to each other?
Yes.
It's not.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, it's not so obvious from the first
It's not
sight.
obvious. When you started saying something, I was exactly thinking whether I give you this as an exercise or not. So, I still don't know. Maybe as an exercise, and maybe so exercise. But as an exercise, but it means I'm not very used to the system, so. But I think you just try to understand what happens, and if you don't manage, we do it together. So sigma is the subshift for every f, and for all subshifts, sigma, there is this f, such that sigma equals sigma f. So the crucial point is to understand what is a closed set, thanks to our base for the topology. So first try to come up, so if I remove invariance by shift, I just keep closed, and you try to come up with a corresponding, an equivalent definition with respect to this, thanks to the base of the topology, and then you add shift invariance, and then the second step will be easy. Okay. So by the way, I didn't say here that f has to be finite. Okay. But a very specific class of subshifts is when f can be taken finite. Then it's called a subshift of finite type. can be taken finite. So it was the case here. Of course, you have more complex examples than this one. So why was Claude Shannon interested in subshifts? Because there is this coding problem of you code the information by, for example, on a hard drive. You want to change the magnetic orientation, and this means that essentially when you send a message which is binary, okay, maybe I don't have to talk about magnetic orientation, but in the end, when you read a hard drive which is encoded like this in binary, it's interpreted as impulse of current, like this. And when you have one, this is precisely what you would like, but actually it doesn't happen so, because when you have an impulse, it's quite big, then it goes down. And here, it doesn't have the time to do impulsive, I don't know exactly, I'm not a physicist. I don't know exactly what happens, but you have a problem when you have impulses which are too close, because then they are weaker. Okay, you don't want this so in coding theory, I don't know what it's called, in the information theory, very often what you want is for this one, let's say 310. No, sorry, you want to impose to have 2 zeros between ones. At least 3 zeros. So you forbid 210, 2 1 separated by 1 0, and 2 1 separated by 2 zeros. And then, so there is a systematic point of view which allows to understand this kind of system of subshift. The set of configurations which avoid these patterns, you can describe them in a finite graph. Because you only need a finite memory to remember if you are in the process of reading a forbidden pattern or not. These are called forbidden patterns. So, for example, if I read 1, then I know that I cannot read 1, so I must read 0. Then I know that I cannot read 1, so I must read 0. Then I know that I cannot read 1, so I must read 0. But then I can read either 1 or 0. So if I draw a graph like this, you see why this graph is linked to this subshift. So if you take an infinite path in this graph, you follow the arcs, and you look at the labels, the sequence of labels, it gives you an infinite word, and this infinite word avoids all of these patterns because I built the graph in this way. And conversely, all the infinite words that avoid these patterns, I can see them on this graph. This is also linked to automata theory in formal language theory in computer science, which was born more or less at the same time. This time? Oh, yes. Okay. So,
Can we discuss some organizational stuff like, articles,
yes.
books, and personnel?
Yes. So now I've talked to you essentially about this one-dimensional symbolic dynamics to present you, and it has a link. So when you study, for example, subshifts of finite type, you have a link with graph theory, and you also have a link with linear algebra, and many questions can be dealt with this. So in the 20th century, mathematicians were very happy to solve all of that, and progressively they asked what happens if you want the same kind of definition for two-dimensional subshifts. So you replace here M is not only N or Z, it's Z2, and you can, for big patterns, we will define this formally another time. And then they started having problems, and this is when it starts to be linked to cellular automata theory and to Wang-Stylings, which was born in the 70s or so, which was invented by logicians and theoretical computer scientists. And in terms of books, for example, there is no complete, there is nothing which embeds all of these things. It's really an intersection of many theories. So there is about this, so about subshifts of finite type precisely, and this approach, there is, in 95 there was a book by Lind and Marcus, which is really a seminal book in the topic of symbolic dynamics. For Sturmian system, there are several books. There is one by Kurka. So this one is called Symbolic Dynamics and Codings. So they were both working for IBM, and they were really interested in the applications on coding. This one is from 2000 something, 2 maybe, and it's called topological and symbolic dynamics. Okay, these are two good books. So, but you don't have to, I'm not sure we need talk about the entire content of all the books. About organization also, with the university we chose this slot in the week, more or less, not randomly, but because I could and the university could. But what about you? Is it okay for everyone? Do you have comments on the time? Do you? And also, the other question is quite important, and I don't know why I didn't think about it earlier. So, because of my visa problems I mentioned earlier, actually I will have to leave your beautiful country before the end of the semester, the 11th of November. So, either we find another slot in the week for you to have a full course. I don't know if someone at the university told you this, because no one told you this problem? Oh, okay, so I'm sorry. So what did they tell you? I don't know. They told you that it would be this on Tuesday every week?
No one told us this. It's just at the website description is the top.
Okay.
Several topics.
Maybe we can start on it?
Sorry?
No? We can't? Okay.
Sorry, what did you say?
No, I suggested to start earlier, but apparently it's not convenient for
So,
some people.
is there another slot that would fit you during the week? Anyway, I think there are videos also, so if you are absent one time, for example, I can always also
Maybe you have your own, also your own notes with some definitions, some topics you're going to discuss, like.
Also, are you going to give us some tasks, some problems to solve, to practice?
So how do people do it usually?
Well, I can speak for my university because I'm not really accustomed to this books. But in my university we have the time is split between lectures and problem sessions. And it's usually professors give some problems to solve, to practice.
Okay. But you don't have homework, or you also have homework to prepare the problem session?
We do.
Okay. But
I think we can just choose another day. I don't know.
so it could be one day, it could be the Tuesday the course, and another day with problem session, or I don't know, or reorganize. I will adapt depending on if you find something weird or not.
Because you said that you're here every day, so.
Yes. So yes, sometimes I attend some seminars in other universities, but I mean I can, if there is this button is good for.
Maybe I can create some sort of
Yes.
Google.
So does someone have exactly your list of email addresses?
We can create.
Sorry?
We will send to you and you will
Yes.
collect them.
Okay. You will write to me. And as early as possible so that we can do the report before next week.
Actually, please all the possible times for everyone.
Yeah. Okay. And if you know, some people who are interested and who cannot today, for example, we can also. I have no problem. Okay. Is there anything else I forgot to discuss or not?
Well, probably if the course is to be marked.
Yeah. I think our course are marked, no?
Yes, probably, but everyone does it in different ways.
Yes. So,
Probably
what's your best way? So maybe we can do a poll on this. How do you want to be marked? Maybe we will do it later after 2 or 3 courses.
The problem is someone can take your course and his plan of study, and he has to receive a mark for it.
Yes.
So that's why we need some kind of, I don't know, examination or just marking.
Yeah. Well, just tell me the mark you want. I mean, you can tell me the way you want me to mark them. No, yes, of course. Sorry, I'm just discovering all this system.
No, I don't think it's that different from French one.
I think I don't know if there's a French system, so it depends on the university. So when I was giving courses in France, I was doing this kind of exam where people would present some research topic to the class, but I was doing this because we were very few of us, so I think here it's kind of difficult to organize.
Also, the course was probably longer.
No, not necessarily, but we will discuss this. It's a good question. If you, yeah. I don't know. So yes, the other solution from having a second slot would be to do half the course in the first semester and half in the second semester. But I mean, it's just a solution because for me there is no problem. But I don't know if you want this. It makes many things complicated, maybe. Because then the other solution is that someone knows someone who works at the visa center. I don't know how it works. This would be my best solution. Okay. Sorry to have taken you much time. Don't hesitate to tell me hi by mail so that I have yours, and tell me any remark and any advice and any.
Should all of us write you about the time that when they can stand for the second course?
Maybe it's even easier if you, in your email, you write to me. Maybe you can directly write what would be your favorite slot and your possible slot. There are two levels of